What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I'm going to be previewing Wolfenstein Youngblood. Now, Wolfenstein Youngblood releases on PS4, Xbox One, and on PC on July 26th. So this is the spin-off. This is like Wolfenstein 2.5, taking place after the events of Wolfenstein 2 and being said to set up or coming, right before Wolfenstein 3. We basically, at this point, have almost confirmation Wolfenstein 3 is going to happen. I feel like that announcement is only going to be probably a year off. I would assume that next year, E3 2020, we will get a Wolfenstein 3 announcement. And, this is a series that I think has gained popularity massively ever since it, came out, remade itself and made itself into a very, very good shooter. A shooter I think a lot of people fell in love with in Wolfenstein, the first game, and then also Wolfenstein 2. And, this is a franchise, to me, that I personally don't have the easiest time getting into. I actually bought Wolfenstein 2 day one because I heard all these things about Wolfenstein, and then also Wolfenstein 1's DLC, and I was like, you know what, I feel like the Wolfenstein 2 is a game I need to jump into. It's just not a game for me. The quick shooting mechanics and all that stuff, it's really good. I mean, I can see the mechanics, I can see why people love it. I've watched people play through the game because I think the story, I think where it goes is really, really fascinating and really awesome. I really do love, the take on the history and having it be changed. But me personally, I could just never get into it, but I totally see why people have. So this is just more Wolfenstein, and it has, I think personally, two really, really big advantages going its way. The first is it's coming out, again, July 26th, and there are not a lot of games coming out in July and August. Now, I think most years, in general, July and August have next to absolutely nothing releasing in them. This year is a little bit different. There are big games coming out in July and August, but they're spread out. July, in my personal opinion, has Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. That's the big game. That's the big game for me, coming out in July, and then this game comes out 1 week later. And then August, after really, and I think it's only if you're a specific kind of person, Madden 2020, NFL 2020 comes out, I believe, on August 2nd, and then we get almost nothing until Life is Strange 2 Episode 4, as well as Man of Medan, the Supermassive game, on August 30th. So I really do think that, from Wolfenstein onward, and Fire Emblem 3 Houses also comes out on the same day, there's a lot of different games for a lot of different people in these months. But for, I'd say 3 really good weeks, there's going to be nothing out in gaming. You're really going to have to play the games you play in July or the games you play in June. So placement is a really big thing Wolfenstein Youngblood has. I think it's really, really appealing to get this game, a shooter, a more open shooter. And I've even talked about that, how it's being influenced by Dishonored, and you can totally see that in the newer trailers of this game. Is not just as the fast pace, something that they're really trying to throw at you. It looks very Doom-like, even in the way of how fast you're running and going from enemy to enemy, and obviously different guns and a different way to kill your enemies. You see that quite a bit in the trailer, but also again the traversal of the map. It's a little bit more open than we got in Wolfenstein 2, and that's a big part of this DLC. It's to be able to traverse the environment way more than you ever have before. And the second thing is the price point. It's $30. Now, there's always been a debate, and I actually talked about this in a video. I talked about this a while ago for Man of Medan, and I talked about $30 for a game price that's half off what you would normally get for a game. What constitutes like fair value for that in terms of the game? What amount of things in the game do you need to get to make $30 worth it? And is there like a cutoff bar? How do people do it? It seems like this is firstly more Wolfenstein, but Bethesda has said it's a cheaper price because it's a shorter development time and they're using the engine from the last game, and and they even said it's more Wolfenstein. So I guess the question is, how much effort is really put into it. I think the game looks very nice. I think all the Wolfenstein games look very nice in general. I don't think it's a bad thing to have this. And this is a lot like even Uncharted The Lost Legacy that came out a year after Uncharted 4. That was a, quote-unquote DLC, but it became so much more. It became its own full game. And then, however, it was only $40, but it became its own full game that had obviously completely different characters, completely different story, and even in terms of runtime, was about half as much, maybe a little bit more than half as much that you would expect from an Uncharted game. And now we get this. So is it fair to assume that this is half of what we would expect from a Wolfenstein game? Is this going to be a 5 to 7 hour shooter? And I think that's very possible. You know what? That's fine, because Wolfenstein games are in that, 12, 14, 16 hour mark. If we got half of that for half the price, I'd say that's more than what we would normally get from a DLC. There's a lot of the gaming industry has definitely kind of crumbled and fallen apart and changed its approach for those things. DLC isn't exactly what we thought of it anymore. It's more, all these live services and constantly updating your games. But, DLC back in the day, at least, it was kind of that 1, 2, 3 hour extra thing, or skins or whatever. Depends on your game, obviously. But, and you would pay a variety of different prices for that DLC. So when it comes to Wolfenstein, $30 if you get like 7 hours out of it. I'd say that's pretty darn good. And also the fact that this is co-op, and co-op is I didn't even say that. That's really the third thing, is this is a co-op game. It's kind of the summer for co-op games, right? Because Ultimate Alliance 3 is a co-op game as well. This is a game that you can play with 2 players, and that's a really, really cool thing, because if you do, again, like Wolfenstein, I think the style and how that gameplay runs and how it works, I think it could be really, really fun to play that game with a second person. So really, it's got a lot of things working up to its advantage. It's just more Wolfenstein, which is, again, what some people may just want that I just want more levels, more things to do in Wolfenstein. It's telling an interesting story of BJ's kids, and they're going to look for him. So again, I think I like the story. I like what they're setting up with the twin daughters. I like that it seems like, and we'll have to see when the game comes out, I assume the ending is going to probably directly set up a Wolfenstein 3. It's really cool. And again, coming out end of July for a reduced price. I mean, this is a really solid game that, I have known, and we had known really for a year, right, that this game existed, but it was kind of way off my radar, and I'm not going to be getting this because, again, Wolfenstein is just not a shooter that jumps out to me, and again, I really did try to buy this game and like this game. It's a game that I respect, it's a game that I will watch, but I can't justify to myself buying this game, but it's a really exciting thing that is coming out, and I hope you guys are looking forward to it. And let me know if you are in the comments below. What are you guys looking forward to in Wolfenstein Youngblood? And make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit that bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And we do these previews for games and movies every single week on our channel. So if you're into that kind of stuff, we do this quite often on the channel. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you on the next video.